it's about to go into silly season, Lee. Silly season part 3. We've already spoken about this in the 2 previous years, the 2 previous silly seasons. We've learned a lot between being in that world and in that space ourselves and being service providers and delivering services to people in person over Christmas. And we've seen it through the education space and the online space now as well. Last year, we ran a workshop called the January Jumpstart, and we're going to run it again this year, but more internally for our clients. But we wanted to do this conversation, whatever you want to call it. Is it a podcast? Is it a conversation? Whatever you want to call it. Just to kind of speak to some of the things that could help people outside of our clientele as well, as to like how they can maximize the Christmas period, not make some of the common mistakes that we see people make during this time, which causes their business to have a downstream effect in the future. So it's going to be a cool conversation. We're going to touch on the top 3 points, big mistakes we see people make, and some solutions. And then this time next week, we're going to be running a workshop for our clients to help them actually not make them, make it really practical. And small call to action before we kick off. If you do want to join that, reach out and we might be able to accommodate you. And if not, just enjoy this conversation. If you take what you learn from this conversation and put it into your business, it's going to do something. It's going to help you out. So yeah, Lee, what's your thoughts? Any myths that you want to bust on the kind of silly season, and give us some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I think kicking off, like it's there's a bit of a mindset around December, isn't there, about it's wind down time. Yes, we might be getting busy in our businesses, serving clients, but generally the mindset is like, oh, I can't wait for it to be over. And then there's that kind of January reset kind of mindset, which means that something stops and starts again. And in our experience, that's not always a good idea, because if we use a little bit of pattern recognition, as the great Tony Robbins says, the sign of a genius is recognizing patterns. January does go flat, and February can go flat as well in service-based business. And that, I think, is a lot to do with this mindset of like, oh, okay, it's ending. Great. Let's stop doing everything. When I think if we can switch that mindset, yes, it's nice to take a break, and we're not saying don't do that, but if you can prepare yourself as best as possible for January to hit the ground running, hence the name of our workshop, the January Jumpstart, you're going to be in a much better position. And the way we like to think about it is like, you don't necessarily need a stop. You need like a runway into the next kind of season, I guess. And that's basically what we've learned. And it's interesting. I was thinking about this the other day in the car when I was driving. I was like, what's some nice angles where we can take this, and a nice analogy. And we can stop, but business doesn't. Like, the business never really stops. And that's something to really keep in mind. And we can stop physically, but if we can systemize things in the background and utilize what we have right now, the business can keep flowing and moving and going over that period. So that's a really good mindset shift. And I think just like, shutting everything down and stopping everything is a bit of like an industrial 9-to-5 mentality, because that mindset was designed for employees, right? Employees were told, hey, it's holidays, and your mindset is just switch off and come back refreshed in January so you can work hard for us again. Whereas like business owners, we know that everything starts and stops with us, and it's in our best interest to make sure that that system keeps flowing over this season. So that's kind of where I want to begin, is like a little bit of mindset shifting on, it's probably not a good idea to stop everything and just shut everything off, because it's in the very words, if you've got a reset in January, you're already behind the 8 ball, and it's going to be hard. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, 100%. It kind of relates to the campaign that we just ran to do with pricing, right? And how now is like the best time of the year to put your prices up. And mid-December and early January, like the new year, new me thing, is probably the worst time to do it, because you're about to see all of your clients in December. Nobody's going to miss their Christmas and New Year's appointments because they want to look a certain way for those time periods. And like for the most part, the reality for most service providers is that they are overdue a price increase anyway, whether it be 6 months and beyond. If you haven't done it in that amount of time, now is a time to do it anyway. So you may as well do it at the time of year where you can capitalize on it the most without it seeming opportunistic and, like you're just trying to steal money from your clients or whatever, right? Whatever the belief that may be there. So, couple of things that are the reason I bring that up and the reason I bring the pricing thing in is because it's capitalizing on the calendar and using the calendar to your advantage. So every other business and all of the smart ones in the world does that and do that. And when it comes to Christmas is one whole cash campaign by the large majority of businesses. So why not get involved? Why not be part of it? Be part of the game. And we've always had an argument as well, Lee, if we're talking to mindset, that every month should be a bit like Christmas month. Because in a service-based business, especially like a barbershop coming from our background, it's like you have a certain amount of time slots. Why are they not full anyway? Every week. At least to a certain level of occupancy every week. So what tends to happen is people know they're going to be busy during Christmas. They already start switching off and thinking 2025 or 2026 now coming is going to be the year where everything changes and I'm going to be different. New year, new me. I'm just going to wait till January. The year's over already. When in reality, we do have 6 weeks left and a lot can be done in 6 weeks. We run 6-week cycles with our clients in our program, and the results that people get in 6 weeks can be the equivalent of results people get in 6 months. We've had somebody join the program 6 days ago over in Sydney, and he's put his prices up already. He was well overdue. It's been over a year. And he's going to run into December now at a higher price point. We're going to encourage him to get all of those people rebooked. He's going to start January and 2026 earning a significant amount of more money, looking like $40,000 to $50,000 plus next year.
And that's the power of the time of the year, right? And I think that's a lovely place to begin. I guess the first point of this conversation is, let's backtrack a little bit, because by the time this conversation goes out online, I really encourage everybody to be thinking about, if you are going to do a price rise, you want to be doing it either have done it or do it pretty soon. Don't wait till December. Definitely don't wait till January. And we do have other workshops on those types of things, because of the psychology of people. So if you leave it too late into December, people are going to think that you're taking advantage of them, opportunistic. But if you do it now, it's an adjustment. If not now, when people are about to go into what we call a buying season, all through December or through January is going to be a buying season. So it's not going to seem a bit strange once they are, buying things like Christmas presents and things like extra things for the house and whatever. They'll be like, oh yeah, my haircut, it's all encapsulated in that thing because I'm putting aside extra funds for my life in spending season. And then when that trickles over into the new year, it's already normal. They've already done it. So if you do think new year, new me, there's a great line that we use in our coaching group. If it's new year, new me, but same business, then not much is going to change. And the way to get ahead is to start now. So all of these things need to be put in place right now, especially a price raise. We kind of go against, and unless your supply and demand metrics are really signaling that you can do it, probably not a good idea to do a price rise in December or January, because that's one of the worst times and the hardest times to do it, is because you have to. So most people will get to January and it'll be quiet, funds will be down, profits will be down. They think, I know what'll solve this. Let me react and I'll put my prices up. And then it can be a little bit deceiving because the books are quiet, you put the price up, it's been a reaction to low funds, and then your brain starts tricking you thinking, oh my God, it didn't work because I'm quiet. And then it gets stressful, and then we start doing crazy things like running all offers, and then we might end up bringing discounts back in to level it out, to playing the price game again to get people to come in because we're cheaper, and then it just gets crazy. It just gets chaotic. So we can really get ahead of that if we do it now. And that's what we advise. So I guess that's the first point is like, if you're going to do a price rise, ideally you want to have done it already in November or do it very, very soon.
Yeah, so there's a certain amount of ingredients that we look for to make sure that somebody can actually do the price rise.
Yes.
So yeah, like Lee said a minute ago, if you want to know what those are, just send us a message saying workshop. We'll send you the workshop. Or just ask for the price raise workshop. We'll send that to you. It happened last week. But yeah, look, the 3 big mistakes, Lee, I guess we can cover that we see people make in December. Let's start with number 1. One big mistake we see people make is the premature evacuation. Like the shutdown and calling off the hunt too early. So basically what that means is they stop looking for new clients because they know that December is probably going to be busy anyway. What do you think are the detrimental effects on the business from doing that?
Well, look, it kind of intertwines on both sides, like before and after. So beforehand, if you've done a price rise, you can then attract new clients in December at that new price. And the cool thing is the psychology around that is there's an event happening in the calendar, and a big event, a big cultural event, countrywide, almost worldwide, where people automatically want to look their best for an event. And that event is Christmas, right? It's like a couple of week long thing. Everybody wants to look good. So in that time, what we've experienced and what we've actually witnessed is that people will jump ship. People are looking for someone to make them look their best through that period. So it makes sense that if you do have spaces in your calendar and you are looking for new clients, keep the marketing going throughout December. That is a massive one. And it doubles up. So let's just stick on this side of the calendar for a second. It doubles up as nurture for your current clients as well. So if you turn the marketing off, so keep that psychology in mind. If people are always looking for someone to make them look better, and because clients do these strange things, right? They might be thinking, oh, I want a different haircut. And for some reason, you might have slipped their mind and they might go and look for someone different. They might be thinking, oh, I'll be opportunistic and look for someone different this time of year. But keeping the marketing going, the nurture content, could be the one little reminder that they need to come and see you. Like, oh, there he is again. Yep, I'm going to go book with that person. So it's as much about attracting new clients as it is retaining and nurturing ones that you have. And that is huge. I think a lot of people listening to this will think, oh yeah, I actually like turn it off in December because I just assume everyone's going to turn up. And a lot of them will. But then if we look at the other side of the calendar, attracting those new clients, great. They're going to overflow into the new year. It's going to nurture everybody that's in your current pipeline. Incredible. So on the backside of that, if you've done a price rise, you're going to attract new ones. Brilliant. That's a great scenario. Then everything that happens in December overflows into January. And if you have a great rebooking and recurring system, then you can start to fill the pipeline into January and February. And that's going to set you up for a really good year. So I think this is starting to poke at why it's not a good idea to turn everything off. Because it's like we talk about filling the pipeline, right? Think of a pipeline of water. If you just stop it, cut it off, you stop the flow of water. And then all of a sudden you've got to start it again, and who knows what's going to happen. And that's the same with our clients.
It's the same across life, right? Like the results that we have today are a result of actions that we took days, weeks, months years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like it all kind of stacks upon each other. So just going dark during a certain period of time and not like being consistent with marketing, it essentially kind of sets you up later for a problem, you know. And the quiet February, the quiet March might be a result of no marketing in December. And I think that's what people kind of get confused with. So yeah, it's not just about marketing for clients when you need them. I think that's, again, same thing as the price rise. It's the worst time to do it is when you need them. The reason you need them is because you're not consistent with it anyway. So like if you can just build that into your business, your marketing is essentially the heartbeat of your business. If you just stopped your heart from beating, you would die. And it might be the same in your business. And the kind of second big mistake connected to that, Lee, is the people's inability to like capture content during this time as well, right? It's very connected to it, but they're too busy or so busy that they just think, you know what, I'm not going to capture any content. I'm not going to post anything because I don't need to. Now, first part of that, when it comes to solution and thinking about it from a mindset standpoint, is that if we're always consistent with our marketing, then we're never going to be struggling for clients. And I think these days, particularly, it's actually about who's the best marketed barber, not who is the best at actually cutting hair, for example, if we're talking about hair. Same thing with coaching. Like if you're watching this and you're a coach, it's like the best marketed coach is the one with the most clients, not necessarily the best coach in the world. So if you're not good at telling people about your stuff, get good at telling people about your stuff. That's kind of what my suggestion would be there. But like we always say this to our clients in our coaching group, but when you're busiest is when you should be marketing the most, because you're stacking upon momentum when you do that. Now, people think that posting content is for new clients only. So they might think, oh, in December, I don't need to do that because I'm going to see everybody. But yeah, at a certain stage, it becomes about marketing to the clients that you have. It's repositioning yourself in their minds as somebody who's more valuable. Because at a certain point, what are you going to have to do with those clients in order to keep growing? You're going to have to put your prices up. And if they think that they're getting the same thing from the same person, why would they want to pay you more? So every day we have this little device right here, and access to the app of Instagram, where we can go on there and communicate what we're up to, how busy we are, showcase our work, showcase our insights and beliefs. And our clients respect that. But if you go dark and you don't do anything, they'll just make their own assumptions. And if they do that, that's a dangerous game to play. So that's the first point. And then the second point is like not actually turning the camera on for the month of December because I don't need clients right now, so I'm not going to make content. And then it gets to January and the well runs dry and there's no content there and blah, blah, blah. Right. So I think momentum should be stacked upon. It shouldn't be this constant like, oh, there's a wave coming, I'm going to just ride the wave and then go back down to flat and zero. Like you can go through the wave and then up to the next one and up to the next one.
So what we're talking about here is like, this is a band-aid solution to a bigger problem, right? And you hit the nail on the head. It's all about momentum. And really, if you have great momentum throughout the year and you systemize all these processes, you won't have this problem in December. You just won't have it, and you won't have the January problem. Now, what am I talking about? Well, listening to us speak about capturing the content in December, that might be scary as hell for some people. They can be like, well, I'm not going to have time. I'm not going to be able to do it. It's like, okay, but throughout the year, what you can learn to do is learn to systemize this stuff as much as possible. So in my head right now, I'm thinking the content from November serves December. So if you systemized and you've banked content and you're already ahead, you'll have plenty to serve you through December. And then it might be just keeping up with Instagram stories and keeping your clients in the know and some before and afters and all those types of things. Brilliant, right? That's a big piece of advice there is like, if you really work on momentum and consistency throughout the year, you won't really have a problem in this time of year. But what that frees you up to do is just to capture. So what freaks most people out is to ideate, to capture, to edit, to post, and do it again, and do it again, do it again. And that gets overwhelming, and that's why people stop and they go dark. Well, really, if you're ahead of the game and you're systemized and you've banked and you've got a great system around what you're going to do, you know when you're going to turn the camera on, you know how you're going to capture, that's your obligation in December. You're about to see the biggest influx of clients within a month that you'll probably see all year if you're not utilizing a well-run pipeline. And that's the case for most people. So that means that you have the opportunity to capture the most content in a month that you have had all year. So that's where my mind goes. And that's the advice that we give our clients, and they have great success with this, is like, look, if you get ahead and systemized, your only obligation in December is to really make sure you capture as much as possible. Then you have a massive bank of content that may even see you through till the end of Feb. Who knows? Because you're going to have all of your great clients in already that you've been working on all year. You can have the new ones in, which work for great transformations potentially. And then you're going to have less stress because you know that like Owen said, the heartbeat of your company is just happening. Like the marketing that you've already done, the content creation that you've already done through November, then early December, that's just happening. And then you're stress-free and you're like, okay, well, turning the camera on is really easy now. All I need to do is just press the button. I know my angles. I know my shots. I know who I'm making content for. Is this a nurture piece? Is this an attraction piece? And you go from there. And that's a really, really good place to be. And then what happens, January, February gets really cool as well. You're not like stuck for content and thinking, oh my God, what happens? So you can hear a theme through everything that we're talking about here. It's really about momentum and actually preparing for these times and getting ahead so that if it is new year, new me, new business next year, it's going to be the best year in business. That's going to depend on what you do now. Like literally your December next year will depend on what you do December this year.
Every action has a knock-on effect, and every inaction also has a bigger knock-on effect. Like a mistake a lot of people make is thinking that inaction costs them nothing. If I do nothing, nothing will happen, but things do happen. If you do nothing with your health declines. If you do nothing in other areas of your life, things decline. So yeah, and another case in point, Lee, that kind of leads us nicely into the kind of third big thing is if you're not already booked for Christmas, what are you doing? Please, if you're not already stacked and fully booked for Christmas and New Year, please send a text message, send an email, get those appointments locked in, because what you can actually do, and this is point number 3, is people not rebooking people for January. Because if January is kind of typically known as the dry season, like the dry period, or people might not want to spend their money as much, consumers might go a little bit quiet when it comes to their wallet. If that is historically the case in society, then what can we do to mitigate that? Well, we can rebook everybody who comes in December. And you can do that way before they even come in. So this is the thing too, if somebody is booked in or you're fully booked for December and you got lots of clients booked in, if someone's booked in and you want to see them again in January and you know that they'll want the haircut again in January because there is client life cycles and you're probably used to seeing the same people come back again and again, there's no reason why you can't send them an email or a text message and say, hey, just to help you get ahead of the curve. Because this is the thing, you're helping them get ahead of the curve or ahead of the swell or the busy period. You're doing them a favor by helping them get booked in early. So you could fill your January now, potentially, if you do this well.
If you have a service-based business, part of being a high-performing service-based business owner is really learning to use your calendar. So this is something that I used to do in the salon days, and I got it to a point where every month was like Christmas month. Every month from January through to December was at capacity. And to go back to what we were speaking about there, how we help our coaching clients is we've been telling them to have their Christmas books open since July, August. I know there's this thing in the barbering world or the hair world where people close their books off from month to month. That's a strategy. But for me, I used to open up and fill that pipeline as early as possible because there's less stress. So let's just give you an example. We'll go a little bit tactical here for a December thing. Instead of just letting your clients decide what happens for you, because if you don't do anything, your clients are going to decide what happens in December for you. And what do they all think? I'll leave it till second week, third week of December, and I'll just see if they can fit me in. I'll just get in and ask them. But if you know you've got your spectrum of clients, right? Anyone from high maintenance to low maintenance to long hair to short hair and everything in between. Well, I'm just going to throw out an example here. For me, what I used to do is understand the repeat cycle of haircuts. So say for long haircuts, they don't need to be in that close to Christmas because they can have that 3, 4, 5, 6 week growing period. So let's get all them in December. But this again starts months before. Let's get them early and then leave room for the skin fade clients a little bit later, closer to Christmas. They can fill up those spots. Great. And then repeat that again in January because people will say, well, what? How do I fill the first weeks? It's like of January. You have to be doing that in December, because those guys that came in the early part of December, they then go and fill the early part of January, if their calendar allows so. And so part of becoming a high-performing service-based business owner is learning to manage your calendar. And I think this has been a bit of a trap of the industry, is relying on automations and booking systems. We kind of handed, brilliant tool, by the way, fantastic tool, very, very helpful. But it can breed this like hands-off, no responsibility. Oh, you just book when you want to. Well, the problem with that is we give the power to our clients and we kind of relinquish it. We get rid of it. So it is going to take a little bit of taking that back a touch and saying, hang on a minute. I know my schedule. I know my time. I want to become a master of my calendar. I'm going to encourage you to come in when I think it's going to work best. And like Owen said, framing it up where it's really useful and beneficial for them, but also really useful and beneficial for you. And that's a really, really powerful thing. Then that leads us on to what we call pipeline filling. So pipeline filling is exactly what it says on the tin. We fill the pipeline as far ahead as possible so that we give ourselves some leeway. And maybe some of you have done this already, maybe you haven't, but if you haven't, I would really be thinking about, do you have a really good rebooking process? I would be encouraging you, and like Owen just said, have the conversation with every single person that sits in the chair about rebooking for January. And if they don't want to do Jan, make sure they do Feb. Take that responsibility back. It's going to pay you massively.
And if they don't want to, it's like, it's kind of up to you to communicate why they should. Especially if you think that it's a good idea. Like if they're definitely going to get a haircut in January, it's like, why not book it now? And that's even a way you could approach it. If someone comes to you at the end of a service and says, I don't know what I'm going to be doing yet, like, don't really want to put it in. It's like, but are you definitely going to be getting a haircut in January? They'll say, yeah. It's like, okay, well, why don't we just put it in? You can always reschedule it if you need to, because it's going to become a problem. So what this is all kind of leading us towards is like the manufacturing of demand. And like all markets operate on supply and demand, how much services you can supply and the demand that you can build for those services. And all of the time, 100% of the time, every day, 24/7, you're in a price rise cycle. You're just, once you've put your prices up once, it's not like it's never going to happen again. It's going to happen again. But the more demand that you can create for your products and services, the easier it is to sell them and the less stress that you're going to have, because you're never going to be without clients or without money. Now, the next nuance to talk about is who you fill that pipeline with. And that's some details and nuances that we get into when it comes to working closer with our clients, because not all clients are good clients either. Please, 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 I would encourage you to not just look at your booking system. We spoke about booking systems a second ago as like a diary where you're just keeping track of what's going on today and next week, but look at it like a tool that you can use to kind of manufacture demand and build pipeline for the future. And yeah, there's a lot of other different like little bonuses and tips and tricks that we're going to kind of jump into on the workshop with our guys to help them maximize revenue. Like, for example, last year, one of our clients, Greg, here in Ireland, he shared a win with us that he was up about 3,000 euros on last year's Christmas week based on some of the stuff that he learned in the January Jumpstart workshop. So we're going to be sharing that stuff and even more cool things this year in the workshop with our clients. So if you want to join that, again, sneaky little call to action in here, I would encourage you to do so. The return on investment for you could be massive from a relatively cheap ticket price. So anything else, Lee, that you'd recommend to the guys off the back of today's conversation?
Yeah, I think just to kind of wrap it up in a nice little bow here, like, you know, if you guys have been following our content for a while, if you're new here, we're really big on a concept we call it unlimited life. And the unlimited life is a life of money, impact and freedom. And in that, you know, you need a level of health. And we speak about this in terms of like everything we've just spoken to you about is about reducing the stress load. Like, what's the point in doing all this stuff? Well, yes, it makes sure our business keeps going so we can make money, so we can make profit, so that we can live the life that we love. But hidden behind all of that is a reduction in stress load. Like, business doesn't need to be any harder than it is. And I think if we can put a little bit of predictability into the calendar, into the pipeline, a few months ahead, for me, like I know from experience, that just reduces a massive level of stress. And that's what we see a lot in our coaching world is like we're coming up with systems and solutions to reduce the stress load of business so that people can keep doing it and live a great life. And that's behind everything. I don't know anyone that wouldn't want more of that, because to keep doing this, we're going to need our health. And so, if anyone's thinking, oh, no, it doesn't sound like it's for me, or it's all too hard, it's like, okay, we always think of the opposite though. Life, business really doesn't need to be that stressful. And I think in service-based world, whether it's hair, whether you do nails, work, coaching, whatever you do, there's a lot of tactics and systems that you can put in place to reduce that stress load and really start to enjoy it again. Because I guess it's a ticking time bomb, right? If it's a high stress environment, then there's a ticking time bomb to how long that's going to last. So yeah, this is stuff that we've learned through our experiences and working with, many service business owners over the years. And excited to dig into some deeper details on the workshop.
And guys, speaking to the health piece and the energy piece, it's very easy to have all of your health and energy sucked out of you at this time. Like energy goblins of clients will come in last minute and swoon in for last minute haircuts. Admittedly, I can be a bit like that myself. So I have to get more organized myself as a client now. But I don't care about my hair that much. And if people can't do it, then they can't do it. It's a case of that. But if you do find yourself doing a lot of out of hours stuff around this time, I would highly suggest that you put a surcharge on it. Because why not? Everyone could probably do it a bit more money over Christmas. I think your clients will understand it's up to them to kind of get booked in. That's even an approach now, early in the month. We still have a week or so until November's over, or a couple of weeks. Let them know. Get your appointments in now, because if you don't, there will be some out of hours appointments, but they'll be at a higher price. So yeah, with all that being said, the rest will be kind of covered in our content this week, and it will be covered on the workshop. If you want the kind of practical tools, like the things that you can literally plug in and get results quickly, come to the workshop. It will be a bit more hands-on. We'll be actually doing stuff together on the Zoom call with a mixture of our clients and maybe a couple of you guys who listen to this. But yeah, if you want 2026 to be your biggest and best year yet, then this is the time to get that started, not in 2026. Like, you're actually not behind by getting started now. You're getting ahead of the curve. So that's all from me, really, Lee. I don't know if I've got any more that I can really add. I think
that's it from us. That was great. I think we touched on some great stuff.
Yeah, I think any more might be too much. So, like, quick little recap. Don't call off the hunt too early. Don't shut down your marketing because you think that it's just going to be sorted. And what I mean by that is get people booked in for December, get them booked in for even January. Because what that is going to lead to is February, pipeline building, demand building. You're manufacturing your demand by taking control of your own supply. Do that with your favorite people. I would suggest that you do it that way. Don't shut off your marketing. Capture loads of content. Leverage the fact that you're at your busiest to make you even busier in the future. So every month becomes Christmas month. Not necessarily in the hecticness of it, but in the money aspect of things. And get your people rebooked in. Look after your energy, look after your health, and look after your business.